Let's bring in Jeff Reinebold right now, special teams coordinator of the Hamilton Tiger-Cats. Coach, thank you so much. Looks like you are still over in Hawaii. Am I right?
You're exactly right. I'm sitting on my porch, and the sun's just coming up over the mountain today.
Oh, it looks beautiful. Well, I'll tell you what, I got a lot of questions for you, but let me say this. Toronto home to your Ticats this Saturday. Is that too early for the Battle of the QEW in Week 2?
Are we playing in the parking lot? It don't matter where we.
Yeah.
It don't matter when. It don't matter where. It doesn't matter at all. Anytime it's the Argos, it's on.
Good. Well, we're running computer simulations of that. We haven't set the line yet, but we'll let you know how that goes. I've been thinking about you a lot because you see the players on Twitter. You're very active on social media. They're waiting for an update all the time. They're trying to stay ready. How about you? Because you'd have to jump a plane, cross the Pacific. What's your life like right now in these pandemic times, in the postponement?
Well, it's interesting, Rod, whether you talk about CFL guys or NFL guys, anybody that's involved in pro football and probably pro sports. I can't speak for the other sports, certainly, but these are strange times. I mean, you're trying to meet in a virtual way, with the Zoom and, all the different modalities that we have to try and communicate back and forth. We're not allowed to spend time with our players in that realm like the NFL guys are. But I know certainly when you talk to guys both in the CFL and in the NFL, it's difficult because everything that, we always say this, that one of the things players really need is continuity, and they need their life to be the same. I mean, they're creatures of habit. Well, as coaches, we're the same way. And this is a brave new world we're in right now. And who adjusts to it the best, who adapts to it the best, I think is really going to have a real advantage when we do start to play.
No doubt, because the CFL will come back. How it will look might be a little different, but it will be back for sure. I just want to have a fun chat with you today, and I'm going to start off with the fun questions with this. You look fantastic, man. You look great. Like, this is clearly your happy place. You are in your element right now.
Yeah, this has always been home to me. Rod, I grew up as a son of a professional baseball coach, and we lived everywhere from Coos Bay, Oregon to Bradenton, Florida, and all points in between. And growing up as a kid, I never really felt like any place was home. And then when I came here for the first time, and I know this sounds a little goofy, but when I came here for the first time, I got off the airplane and I just said, "This is it. This is where I belong. This is where I'm going to stay." And so I get back here every chance I can. And that's one of the reasons why I coach in the CFL, because of the fact that it gives you some lifestyle or some life balance that, frankly, the guys in the National Football League and even in college football now, you just don't get that. It's 365 days a year, and being in the CFL, you do get a chance to get away for at least for a little bit.
I was having that conversation with Mike Kelly. He actually wrote a wonderful article on that on the website, Check Your Game. I'll be promoting that. But we had Westwood on Monday, and Westwood, we asked him, what was the best thing the U.S. American expansion in the CFL brought? And he said, Jeff Reinebold. Westwood said that. So can you talk about starting with the Posse back in 94? Was that your true introduction to the Canadian Football League?
No, not really. I'll tell you what, I guess I'm a abnormality in a lot of ways, or anomaly, or whatever they say, because even as a college player at the University of Maine, I didn't aspire, when I knew I was going to go into coaching, I didn't aspire to coach in the National Football League. I wanted to coach in the CFL, because when I was in college at Maine, you could get CFL games on television off the Halifax channel, and I think it was CTV probably at that time, but I remember Rocky DiPietro and Tom Clements and all of those guys that were playing in the league at that time. And I just thought the game was a far better game. It was more interesting to me. And then I guest coached for the Lions, the first time in '88. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to coach in the league. I wanted to be a CFL guy. And I've been very fortunate. I came in '91. Really this is how I got into the league, if the truth is told. And I'm gonna write a book when I'm done coaching, Rod, and I'm not gonna write it on your show, but I'm gonna give you just a couple. I got into the league because Greg Newhouse was our defensive coordinator at the University of New Mexico, and I'd known Greg from his BC Lion days. And Obi had taken the BC Lion job, and he was trying to hire Greg as his defensive coordinator. And in the conversations that they were having, Obi said, in that typical Obi way, where he scratched the back of his head and he go, "Hey, I got to find me a young guy that I don't have to pay very much to coach special team." And Newhouse said, "I got a guy for you." And so I talked to Obi, and he said, "Have you ever coached special teams?" And I lied, and I said, "Yes, I had. I'd never coached the down of it." And so I kind of talked my way into the job, and the rest is, as they say, history.
Good for you, by the way. It's that whole, I don't even want to tell about me getting hired in the CFL, but it was figure it out later type thing, which I did. By the way, our viewers want to see your dogs. I don't know if you can do that, but can you tell us about them?
Well, I tell you what, we have a very small dog here. This is actually it's my brother's dog, and it's a Havanese, and it's a Cuban dog. I guess they were born. I don't know what they're bred for, but it's a barking machine, and it is absolutely. You'll hear it on the. If this interview lasts more than 3 minutes, you'll hear Geronimo. He'll be out here patrolling his yard and letting the neighbors know. And then we have one of the big sports in Hawaii is, in terms of outdoor sports, is pig hunting. And so this neighborhood that we live in is an old Hawaiian neighborhood. So a number of the families own dogs that they take out into the bush and hunt pigs with. So anytime anything gets going, you'll hear the dogs start baying and hollering. So again, I apologize for if we get interrupted by a pack of dogs, but that's life in Hawaii.
It's fine. The viewers are enjoying it. They just want to know what kind of dogs they are. By the way, guys, can you put up that comment from Paul in Waterloo? Paul Totsky, he's an Argos fan. He says, I saw Jeff talk at the University of Waterloo football dinner one year, stepped in for Joe PaoPao, never mentioned himself at all, just spoke glowingly about the coach and tried to raise money for the program. Awesome guy. What do you remember about that night?
Well, you know what? Joe PaoPao is one of the top guys I've ever met in my life. I mean, I love him like he's my brother. I know the Saskatchewan fans remember him from his days playing quarterback there. And there are few rare individuals that you meet in life, and Joe was one of those guys, Rod. And he took that Waterloo job. They had just gone through a real tough time, a tough patch, and the program was really on its knees. And he took it over and was trying to breathe life into it. And so when he asked me to come up and speak, I said, Joe, just tell me where and how long, and I'll do everything I can to help you. I still stay in contact with Joe. He's down in San Diego now, and again, he's one of the real true CFL guys. I love this league so much, and I've been really blessed to be a part of it for almost 30 years now, and you think about all the wonderful guys that you meet in this business, and players, coaches, fans, everybody associated with the game, and it's such an incredible league, and it's tough. We're going through a real tough time right now, and sadly, it seems like we keep repeating the same offenses. I remember when 1993, when the group of guys in trench coats walked into our office and said, you got 2 hours to vacate the office. We're going to take over, basically they had walked on the franchise. And another time the Players Association and Ed Molstad and those guys came into our locker room and said, mandatory across the board pay cuts, not even going to talk about it. Right. And it seems like we keep repeating the cycle of these things, and we got to get it figured out because it's too good a game. It's too much a part of Canadian culture. It's too precious to go through this kind of stuff that we're going through right now, time and time again.
Well, if it truly is at death's door, I'm not sure the CFL is, but it'll be guys like yourself and Joe PaoPao and all the greats. We will rally, and it will be saved. There's no doubt. And by the way, for our younger viewers, the throwing Samoan, Joe PaoPao, I believe had the record for consecutive completions, which I think was 17. Do you know this, Jeff? And I think Maz broke it at 19. Am I right in any of those numbers?
I think, yeah, and I think Mazzoli might have broken it too.
Okay.
I do know this, and I'm going to tell you something. I have great respect for anybody that plays a quarterback position, because when you see what they have to deal with on a down by down basis and still look down the field, make their reads, and do all the things that they need to do, deliver the ball on time to the right guy in the right spot, and all that chaos is going on around it. I watched Joe get hit and hit and hit time and time and time again, and never point his finger at the offensive lineman, never slam his helmet down, none of the histrionics. He just got back up and kept firing, and I think that's one of the reasons why he was loved so dearly. You talk to Dale Poley and you talk to the old Aldag and those guys, and ask them about how they feel about Joe PaoPao, and they'll all say the same thing. They love him to death, and part of it was because he was he was John Wayne in a lot of ways. He was at the Alamo, and the Mexicans were coming over the walls, and he was still firing, man. And again, that's one of the. He's a great one. He's one of the treasures that our game gave us.
They talk about Joe that way, but they also talk about Huff that way. And I say to them, guys, Huff's been a jerk to me. And they're like, no, he's a great guy. You're just in the media, and he doesn't like the media. And I said, well, I'm not normal media. And then I've gotten to know Huff since, and they're right. He's a cool dude, too. But, you mentioned the tough times the CFL is going through right now. Obviously, you're following it closely. Do you have an opinion on what's going on right now? Because I'd rather not talk about it, but we've talked about it a lot. Where do you stand on it?
Well, again, obviously, there are a couple things that are really difficult. Let's be honest with it. It's difficult when you sign a contract and you expect that contract's going to be honored, and then all of a sudden, midway through it changes. But again, that's as you say, is that you deal with. This is really good for coaches. This time is really good for coaches because you find out whether you really believe all that stuff you tell players or whether it's just a bunch of bullshit. And one of the things you say to players all the time is, controllable factors. Control what you can control. I can't control how the league's managed. I can't control what our business model is. I can't control any of those things. Only thing I can control is how we prepare our players and, how I do my job. And, that's it. And does it bother me to see our league have to go hat in hand to the government for money? Yeah, it bothers me. Does it bother me when I see our players tweeting out that there's no communication by the league? Yeah, that bothers me. Is it true? I don't know. I'm telling you, it bothers me when I see it. Does it bother me that people keep saying that the league's on its deathbed? Yeah, it bothers me. Because it's a great football league. It's a great league. I will say this till the day I die. If you went to a sports bar anywhere in the world and you put an NFL game on over there and a CFL game on over there, and the broadcast was the same, they used the same number of cameras, the same commentators, same uniforms, same. It was absolutely the same. By 15 minutes into it, 80% of the people would be watching the CFL game. I truly believe that because it's such a great game. And when people watch it, that's how they feel. But we continuously seem to shoot ourselves in the foot publicly. And that's let's face it, Rod, you know this because you're in the media and it's the way life is. Everything's about perception. Right? You can have the greatest game in the world, but if you come off as a second-class product, then that's what people are going to believe that you are. And I refuse. I will fight this till the day I die. If anybody tells me it's a second-class league. Now, we may do some things in a second-class manner. Well, that's our fault. It's not the game fault. The game is a beautiful game. It's played by extremely talented players. It's coached by a lot of passionate coaches that love football, some very good, outstanding football coaches. And it's got a great fan base. But for whatever reason, we can't figure the business side out.
Oh, I know. And we have all these beautiful stadiums, by the way, which are not going to sit empty.
Oh.
There will be CFL football back. By the way, on the CFL game, I quote Tressman on that, who said this game, whoever designed it was a genius. It's beautiful with the rules and all the nuances and everything, right, compared to the American game. So, I could go on all day, but we got to bring in Matt Sakaris next. Jeff, thanks for this. We continue to follow what you're doing. Just keep it up, and we can't wait to see you soon for real out here on the field.
Aloha, guys. Thank you very much.
The great Jeff Reinebold checking in from Hawaii today.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.